onpoint.com, online.point.com, onpoint.com, and it was official out of Singapore, and there were 3 doctors that have passed away there. He said the initial doctor that passed away, and I believe this was very possibly the Wuhan hospital, where one of the main hospitals there in Wuhan, China. But he said the first doctor was the whistleblower, and he was aged 24. Didn't mention the second physician's name, but the second physician's age, but the third physician was age 29, and he just passed away 2 days ago. And he said, we're trying to figure out, these doctors had perfectly healthy immune systems. He said, we're trying to figure out what could have caused this. And he said, at the moment, the only thing we can think of is that these 2 gentlemen both were the lack of sleep, because I assume they were at the hospital, quite.
Lack of sleep definitely diminishes the immune system's ability to fight foreign invaders. That's true.
Yes, sir. Lack of sleep, as well as lack of sleep, it was the stress they were under. He said, I guess...
Well, there's another possibility, which is that this virus, which is now alleged to have been a bioengineered weapon that escaped from their laboratories, is much more than a simple, let us say, flu-like virus.
Absolutely. I watch a gentleman, Israeli News Live, and he's wonderful. His name is Stephen, but he was just reporting that they're thinking it was the, as you mentioned, the bioweapon. That's because it's spreading in other countries, and they're trying to confirm that at the moment. But he's thinking, from sources he's been told, he said it's most likely the bioweapon. And may I tell you as well, there was an article I was reading here just about an hour ago, a Harvard physician out of, let's see, his name is Mr.
It doesn't matter his name. What did he say?
Yes, sir. Dr. Gifford Jones said that he had reported too many people are dying of, needlessly dying of the coronavirus, and he's reporting that the intravenous application of vitamin C, whether it be tablet form or you can buy the powder at a health food store, he suggests he said if you even get the flu, if you'll take 2,000 mgs.
Well, I wrote a book about it called Diseases Without Borders. It was published 2 years ago, and I've been trying to tell people there are common sense and simple methods they can use to stimulate their immune system. And one of them is using real powdered vitamin C. I mean, that's nothing new to me. But you also need vitamin A, you need zinc, you need a whole slew of nutrients that stimulate the immune system. Yes. I thank you for the call. That's a field I know an awful lot about. I've studied it for years. It doesn't mean I'm going to be immune to this. I could get it and die from it, too. You think I couldn't? I don't go to Chinatown. I don't make a habit of, shaking hands. I lead a rather isolated life, but 2 weeks ago, I got food poisoning here in a restaurant where I live. I don't know how I got it. I don't know who touched what, or I could have got it in a supermarket, for all I know. I'm the kind of guy I shop, and while I'm shopping, I touch everything, right? I have to touch a package to pick it up. I touch a shop. You know what I do with a shopping cart? Laugh at me. I wear gloves in a supermarket. I'm like a nutcase, right? I wear gloves as I push the cart. If I forgot the gloves, as I did yesterday, I take those wipes that they use and I put it on the handle. I don't know what snotty kid just dribbled on that cart, or what they touched of their behind and then they touched the cart, or they sneezed in their hand and touched the cart handle. Do you have any idea what we're talking about here? These are commonsensical things that you can do. But 100% protection? Absolutely not. You can't live in a cocoon. You can't stop living. I didn't say that. You take common sense precautions. If you think you're getting something, take bowel tolerance levels of vitamin C, which Dr. Cathcart, an old friend of mine who passed away, taught the world about. Bowel tolerance levels of vitamin C. That doesn't mean measly little 50 grams or 50 milligrams or 100. We're talking about bowel tolerance levels. I've been teaching people this for 20 years, along with vitamin A, and people say, God, the flu, I had the flu years ago. I got over it in a day or two because of you. So that was then. That was with that variety of the flu. So let's say this is a more virulent form of the common flu. Whatever you want to say about it, the same rules still apply. Hygiene, common sense, avoiding crowds, don't go to movie theaters, blah, blah, blah. Don't touch strangers' hands. Don't kiss strangers. Do I have to tell you that in San Francisco? Right, that's going to really play well. Don't hug strangers. Remember the old image that I told you about earlier in the show today of the Chinese in the ancient times? They would put their two hands together inside their big sleeves and shake their own hand when they met a stranger and bow. Why do you think they shook their own hand? Why do you think they didn't shake hands? Because they didn't want to transfer the epidemics that were prevalent in China at that time. So I'm telling you, you can stop certain you can do certain commonsensical things that will increase your chances of avoiding this new illness. And they would be, don't shake hands of strangers. Now, schools worry me a lot. You know, kids come home from schools, even with normal flu season. Kids are reservoirs, vast reservoirs of viruses and bacteria and whatnot that they pick up in schools. It's an issue for young parents to be very, very careful with your kids, not only for their health, but for your own health. Now, what do you do with a kid who comes home from a school? Again, common sense. You're going to laugh at me. Take your shoes off before you enter the house. I had a dumb doctor friend years ago, and he came to my house after he got out of medical school. He was a real moron. He thought he knew everything. And he was wearing paper shoes to show everyone he had gone to medical school and he was in a hospital. And I said, Bob, take your shoes off, please, before you come in the house. I have young kids. And he laughed at me. He's, oh, come on now. What if I take my shoes off? I said, because you're transferring pathogens from the floor of the hospital into my house. He didn't even know the basics of disease prevention coming out of the hospital. So don't wear shoes in the house. That's a Japanese custom. Don't shake hands with strangers. Don't kiss strangers. I don't have to tell that. Most of you don't get a chance to kiss strangers. I'll be right back.
Home of borders, language, culture, the Savage Nation.
Well, the Ash Wednesday program is coming to a conclusion. If you have missed any of my wit and wisdom today, you can catch it, of course, on the podcast, which is posted an hour after the show. I had a call from the White House last night, and they told me they listen to the podcast every day. I didn't say the president does, but there are those who do, really high up. I said, I'm glad to hear that although I am not on every station in the country, as are some great Americans, I am heard everywhere, and I have the #2 streaming radio show in talk in the United States of America. So it just shows you that the truth has a way of getting out, and podcasting is going to be good. President's speech and coronavirus. I'm sitting here with my hands praying, crossed.
The Westwood One Podcast Network.